Well, morning all and welcome to the first call brought to you by IRT. Lovely to have your company here this morning. We're all suffering from football fever. Yes, we're down to the last 16 looking to be number one. We're talking racing though here on the first call with Aidan Rodney and Jason Tarn. And Aidan, plenty to look forward to tomorrow.
Sure is, Matt. Good morning to you and to you, Jason, as well. Really looking forward to Hastings where the steeples and hurdles take centre stage, and really looking forward to the reappearance over fences of Monarch Chimes, a horse who really set the bar high in Victoria and looked really good last season, winning 3 up to his 4th placing in the Great Northern. How's my football skills, soccer skills in our day, Jason?
Oh, not bad. I'm certainly no Peter Schmeichel, more Bruce Grobbelaar, but looking forward to Ruakaka. 5 winners Chris Gibbs trained 2 weeks ago when we were last there. How many can he notch up out of the 9 races this week? Let's get on with the show. It's the first call.
He's 2 lengths in front at the last. Oh, he hit it, but he still stands now. El Corby's coming after Monarch Chimes. Monarch Chimes, El Corby lying third, just got home. El Corby, Monarch Chimes. Monarch Chimes are the bravest of all performances. Max is starting to charge down the outside. Still battling away is Shamal, and the name's Bond. Here comes Max at 100 metres, ranged up to Charlie, just to Charlie, and it's Max. Max and Isaac Lupton, ridden with the patience of Job, wins the signature Holmes Wake at the steeplechase.
Well, it is that time of year, things starting to get really serious on the jumping front of things, and this week we head to the Hawke's Bay with a couple of features there. Looking forward to that as we build through to the Grand National Carnival at Riccarton Park, and of course the Great Northern Carnival this year to be held at Te Rapa. Jason Tarn, your football skills were mediocre, but here's hoping your tipping's a bit better.
I think that's been rather kind. Pretty ordinary. I think I retired at the age of 7 when I was unceremoniously dropped from the Western United seating. So that was the end of my sort of footballing foray, but yeah, it coincided with a love for racing, I guess. Looking forward to it, of course. We've seen some real highlights in the week just gone. Sam Weatherly went to Australia and had a good book of rides in Sydney, and She Knows was a horse that brought up his first victory. So he's made a statement immediately, which is cool. Mark Walker in Singapore managed to train his first Group 1 in Singapore. We know he's trained many here in New Zealand and Australia, so a milestone for him. Looking forward to more milestones this weekend, Aidan.
Yeah, exactly, and nice to see last week we got the first call special home. It's been something of a little bit of a trend. We started
a
to
lot
get
of
a few of these
seconds
home.
with it.
Yeah,
we've had an amazing number of seconds with the first call special by small margins.
Well, the previous week was High Flyer, so we are starting to get on a bit of a roll. I think that's really encouraging. New York Minute was terrific too, wasn't she?
Oh, she was outstanding. It was a competitive race. There were a few form lines that sort of turned around, but the first sort of 4 in that race were decent performances, and she was the one that handled it best on the day. And for you, a huge fill-up week for A-Rod, Matthew. A huge fill-up week.
Before we get on to our bank totals, New York Minute, where's the pathway for New York Minute now? Is there a particular target?
Well, immediately afterwards they were saying they might freshen and then look towards a Foxbridge into the Tarzino Trophy. From my understanding now is that they are going to just press on. We know that she's so potent on those sort of rain-affected heavy track conditions. I think Opunake Cup is more of a target now. But going back to her, she anchored home a first 3 in the race for Murray Baker and Andrew Forsman, and they've been so potent this season. And again, in the feature race of the day for them getting a trifecta, that's really creditable.
Jason, before we get to our bank totals, Chris Gibbs, you obviously mentioned at the start when you were displaying your soccer skills that he won 5 last time. At a brief glance, is there a particular number that you see him getting on Saturday?
Or he could train 4, maybe even 5 again. But it is pretty competitive. There's some good form lines coming out of the meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we will discuss some of those, but just through sheer weight of numbers, he has huge chances across the card.
Okay, let's look at our bank totals from last week, and once again, I'll just sit back and let Aidan do the talking this week.
Well, I'll do the talking. It really was a good performance, Aidan.
Well, where did it go right for Aidan, first of all?
Well, out of the 8 selections, 4 of your bank bets anyway, 4 of them won and 3 of them ran second. So that's pretty good going at this time of the year when there are a lot more variables than other times of the year. And throughout the season, there have been some very good returns, and so big ups to you for that. That's a great week.
I had a bad week. St Andrews Masonic let me down.
I think I beat you in that too.
You got me too,
Lily, yeah. So.
And a couple of others as well. I think I'm going to have to probably change tack. But when things are going bad, you want to change tack. You probably better just to
stick with your systems, Matthew. You've been pretty good the whole way through, so
exactly.
There's no reason to change. It's a difficult period. The tracks are tough to read, and I think there's one thing that we are doing here on the First Call is actually discussing that well enough that you can get a feel for things. Obviously, people at home, they're doing the form themselves. They can just put it with their own selections and hopefully come up with winners for Saturday.
It's difficult not to be reactive if you go on a run of outs, but that's the nature of the game. You go on a run of outs, and if you check your processes and can be confident that you're doing it right, then the old sports phrase, trust the process, you really do.
Yeah.
So that happens, but there's no doubt that you've delivered some great results throughout the season.
Sure. We should have been on Nashville last week. Let's go to...
Stay positive.
Stay positive. Let's go to Ruakaka and set the scene there. Pattern-wise, Jason Tan, it's a track that we can sometimes see go one way or the other. Where's the rail and how do you see the races unfolding?
Yeah, Ruakaka's out a couple of metres. At Hastings, they're out 6.5 metres, and I understand the track is a heavy 10. That probably will come back. There's a chance that it'll come back to a slow 9 from reports that I'm picking up with
There's a lot of rain
weather.
earlier in the week, but it says something about Hastings as well, that they are, able to provide a heavy 10 surface. As you saw there, frost and fine days. If that continues, we get the same tomorrow, and hopefully it will dry.
Yeah, there's not a huge amount of drying around the country at the moment, just because it's so cold in the mornings, and the frost is sort of keeping the moisture in the ground. Talking to people that sort of look after these tracks, and checking my own back lawn.
Back lawn, yeah. I see that through Instagram.
Instagram, stepping up in the world. Yeah. Simon's 50th birthday Hawke's Bay steeplechase. Let's take a look at this, the first of them. With Wise Men Say $11 under 70 kilos. Charlie Studd to take the ride. Max Isaac Lupton, 340, down to Just a Charlie and Will Gordon, 460. 750 for King's Deep. Are you surprised at the difference in the market here, Aidan, between the two Connors runners?
I am a little bit. Wise Men Say it seems to be a strange reaction. I think we're getting a fair guide through Raymond Connors booking Isaac Lupton for Max. I'm picking that it come from the Connors stable rather than from Isaac himself, because Wise Men Say we know the class this horse has got. Obviously Max is hitting this at the right sort of time. He's coming out of a hurdle run back to steeple chasing where he's been so potent. We go back and have a look at the Waikato steeples where he was terrific in winning and beats home a couple of the key rivals here, and Just a Charlie, and the Names Bond's been going okay as well, but Max, he seems to be a really progressive steeplechaser and a great chance in this race, Jason. And
you just expect that the extra distance of the Hawke's Bay steeplechase will suit him. This is some 900 metres more than the Waikato steeplechase that we're watching. The Waikato steeplechase that we're watching here, which is just under 4,000 these days, 3,900. He was so strong through the line, wasn't he? Very patiently ridden in a fashion that you often see with Isaac Lupton on Raymond Connors' trained horse, just waiting, having the horse in a rhythm and then coming with that sustained 800-metre run. He's in great form, Isaac. About 12, 18 months ago, he'd basically looked at giving this game away. He'd concentrate on the farming, but he's doing a great job. And the same thing goes for Raymond Connors. He has been one of our most astute jumps preparers for many years, and obviously with two very good horses here, Max and Wise Men Say. I think Max is a worthy favourite, but I wouldn't be underestimating Wise Men Say. Just a Charlie was very good in the Waikato steeplechase, gets 2 kilos on Max. I think he's got some claims in his own right. The Names Bond was okay. And Shamal does mix things a little bit, but when he's on his game, he's certainly a force. But with some of them, you're just measuring the exact track conditions which suit. A couple of them like it a lot more bottomless, like your Trentham Heavy 11, and others prefer that slightly better surface that Hawke's Bay is going to provide, closer to probably your Te Rapa, even though they're not sand-based. Yeah, we saw Shamal there running fourth in that Waikato steeples, but the run last time out, the McGregor Grant at Wellington, I thought at Trentham was very good and did beat home the Names Bond in there, so I wouldn't be underestimating that horse either. But I think the market's got it right. Speaking of Hastings, let's turn back time 12 months ago. Just Ishi on this track doing the business. We know the quality of this galloper, Jason, and albeit 12 months ago, this is just what this horse is capable on his day. Yeah, very strong performance. The track was a slow 9, and I'd imagine it'll be pretty similar. tomorrow. It's a heavy 10, I know, but you just think that it might come back to a slow 9. It's one of our better tracks, Hastings. I mean, the region is blessed with weather that is the envy of a lot of other parts of the country, particularly at this time of the year.
One thing about Justice this day is that he'd gone into this as a winner of 2 of his previous 3 steeplechases, so he made it 3 from 4. His form is far inferior this year. He's been just no threat, beaten sort of pointlessly in those last couple at Trentham. And yes, well, you are getting back to the same meeting he won at last year, which is a really good positive. He needs to improve significantly to be a factor in this for mine.
He's actually half a kilogram, has to carry half a kilogram less in the weights compared to the weight that he carried last year, and I think that's very much reflective of what you speak about Aiden's form.
And I think it's a stronger field as well.
Yeah.
King's Deep here. Emily Farr keeps the ride to Aiden for Paul Nelson, a horse that I'm sure she's keen to keep the affiliation with, and gets in here having won 2 steeplechases. Is this horse 12 months away from being a leading contender in this, or is it going good enough to be competitive?
Well, he did run in this race last year and finished last in it. The last start run was very good, beat home some of the rival here. That's how it goes. I've got this in stagehand as well. So on that, some sort of chance, but 12 months down the track, he's a rising 13-year-old. So how much further do you sort of have to keep on waiting with him? But
still young and jumping too.
Well, it's extraordinary. Like 5 years ago, he broke his hurdle maiden at Riccarton. In amazing fashion, like he won by over 7 lengths, and that was on a heavy track. So look, he has had issues. No, he has been managed by
and because
Paul
of that, he's only
Nelson.
had 40 starts.
That's right. Yeah, so it's he's hardly sort of been over raced or anything like that. But that was really encouraging, and the quick backup I don't mind. So he's had that hard run. He's on the quick backup. He'll be one of the horses that I'm sure will be allowed to sort of roll. And he does seem to have that propensity to stay on, but even though last year didn't go well for him.
What do you make of the
He sort of got into a bit of trouble, I think. Like there was a riderless horse and he might have got interfered with and it just got thrown out of his rhythm. It was a little bit messy for him.
What do you make of the names Bond? Is it going good enough?
Probably. There are probably a couple of others which I would prefer, like your Just a Charlie and your Max, but he's another one when he's in the right breathing rhythm. He's a good enough stayer. Like no knock at him overall as a horse.
Yeah. Aiden, you give Chocolate Fish a decent push a couple of times through his campaign. Where do you sort of assess his chances?
I think probably just a little bit below these as well. He's probably even below the names Bond for mine. The more we've discussed this race, the more I really am sort of thinking that Max is going to be awfully hard to beat. The preparation seems tuned to this. Comes back from hurdling, back to steeplechasing where he's got a terrific record. He's won 4 of 7. I thought it was a 2-horse race and I thought Raymond Connors would be winning the Hawke's Bay steeplechase one way or the other. Maybe the better price was Wiseman Say at 11. I'm not going to make it a bank bet, but the more I'm thinking about it, maybe I should be on Max.
Yeah, I'm on Max. Max is the horse to beat for me.
All right, good stuff. We'll chuck that through a couple of multis later on, and with IRT we'll give you our bank bets at the end of the show. Still more to come. Stand by. We continue our jumping previews right after this.
1 minute you're here and the next you go. So I expect you to take it slow. I need a mental reset. I never knew anybody till I knew you.
An LIR at Harwater today, race 3. Lisa Allpress doing the riding for Murray Baker and Andrew Forsman. I think looks pretty well poised.
The favourite is home here, and LIR and Lisa Allpress. It'll win and win easily.
So I'm prepared to forgive that last run and say that, with that weight allowance on a heavy track, which is perfect for her, she's a really good bet.
Okay, I wish I'd sort of seen your bank bets before I put mine in because, you've got Sleeping Beauty wrong every time you're on this time, so I really shouldn't be on, but I am.
Sleeping Beauty put her head in front now, and she's holding. Sleeping Beauty will go on a score from Temple Tiger.
Well, there were some reservations around the chances of Sleeping Beauty from one of our panellists anyway, and 4 kilo claim of Taiki Yanagita was able to get it home for.
That was the main thing, and
Sullivan
she's your
Andrew
friend
Scott.
there.
Oh, well, she's, yeah.
You can't play that game, I'm sorry. You can't say friends 1 minute, not friends the next. You tried that with me one day, it doesn't work. Tawhangai Romney's Hawke's Bay hurdle. Let's turn over and have a look at this one. Oh, sure, we do get on okay, don't we, Jay?
$3.80 of our lives all of a sudden.
Monarch chimes 380. Sean Sean Phelan, great to see him back in the saddle aboard a quality galloper, Kip Kaino 420 for Emily Farr, who's in good form. No change, speaking of form, Aaron Kudu, and It's a Wonder from the Will Gordon ridden runner, $5.50. Look, the market shapes up sort of how we would have expected here, Aidan. The four main chances, all under $5.50, and gee, it's great to see him back.
Yeah, the bookmakers opened this as a two-horse go with Kip Kaino and Monarch Chimes both at 420. We're seeing a push towards Monarch Chimes, and I can understand that. I think he's bringing really good form, and just great to see him sort of back hurdling in New Zealand. We haven't seen him hurdling since the Great Northern Hurdles, and he ran fourth and was luckless that day too.
Oh, he was asked to sustain a really big run in the Great Northern Hurdles. Prior to that, he put the writing on the wall in the lead up, and this was just a sensational performance. He makes a mistake and still withstands Al Corby, who was pretty good in his own right, but he has this race locked up and then just unfortunately puts in a
Takes the
short
stuffing
one,
out of a horse when that happens, doesn't it?
but still manages to pick himself up and stay on and win. I just think he's a bit of a special hurdler, actually.
Yeah.
I think off the minimum, he's an outstanding bet on the day.
How does he get on the minimum? You know what he's done. You know he's had three hurdles wins, goes into a Great Northern and runs fourth. He's beautifully placed in this on 65. What we've sort of seen of him, he goes to Australia, earlier on to April or May, wins a jumping trial at Cranbourne, wins a steeplechase, which is a glorified hurdle. That's basically hurdles
Like
here in New
steps,
Zealand.
aren't they?
They are, and then goes on and runs, fourth or third in a Briley and fourth in a Grand Annual, or the other way around. And he's come back. His flat form's good. The stable says he's really bright. Come back from Australia in great order, and they're thinking about going back. So I just really like him here. I think he's beautifully placed on the minimum, like you say, and he's a class horse. I think he's the best horse in the race.
He had a jumping trial, didn't he? Just a small margin between Laykeeper. Reports are that was a very good performance, and we saw Laykeeper win the Frank and Annie Matajasevic Memorial out of that trial. Okay, it's a trial. Didn't have vision of it, just going off reports, but the reports are very positive.
Yeah, I spoke to David Brown about that during the week, and he said that Sean Phelan, who's got a really good association with this horse, was just basically keeping the horse sitting quietly, never really asking him, and so they've gone to the line, locked together on the line. So it's a really positive sign, I think.
I think he's a special jumper, and I think he wins the race. We've got to talk about other chances, I suppose, and there are. You know, it's a decent lineup of horses in the hurdles, so to speak so positively about Monarch Chimes isn't decrying the other's ability, it's just really highlighting the ability I think Monarch Chimes has. But It's a Wonder comes into it after that really heavy slog at Trentham. I think you can forget about that and go on what It's a Wonder had done previously. No change as a promising jumper. Okay, he's rising 10, but in what he's done in 6 hurdle starts, he's only been out of the money once. He's won a couple of races, and this was a very soft win. At Hastings a couple of starts ago in his form line, I thought.
Exactly, under a really strong Aaron Guru hold too. He's not taken the hands off the reins at all here, and that was a terrific performance on the home track where he returns to this weekend. He's soft to the line too, isn't he? He hasn't asked him at all, and since then he's gone for a pretty good rating 75 tune-up, in which he was showing that he's full of running as well. So you can't underestimate him here. He's a factor in the race for sure.
I think between It's a Wonder and No Change, those are the two horses, given the setup of the race, that I think will provide the biggest challenge for Monarch Chimes.
You go back to this as the race, so I know you were taken by It's a Wonder because mainly the spirit that he's shown, especially like we saw it before with Monarch Chimes getting it wrong. He's about to get it wrong here, and as you can see, goes down on his nose. But geez, he picked himself up and fought back well, didn't he, Jason?
Yeah, he sure did. We've talked about the fact that there are a couple of other progressive gallopers that are all carrying, jumpers that are all carrying 65. He falls into that category.
I want to talk about the race pattern here, in particular with reference to Monarch Chimes. Is there any negative push for Monarch Chimes in terms of the way that you see the race unfolding, especially over the 3100?
I think that they're going to go even enough. There's no sort of real standout unless they push the button with Heat or Jazz, that there's going to be a dynamic pace in the race. But he's a horse who can stay close enough to them, and we can see that he's got the acceleration necessary to put himself into the race.
I think if it's not a really stern staying test, then that's better for Monarch Chimes. I think he's more of a chance to get beaten if they run really hard and make it a very stern staying test. That's not saying that he's a bad star, but he's just so brilliant on the flat. Like you see his acceleration when he's asked to go, even sort of over the jumps. He's just got that X-factor brilliance. We've seen him run home at Ellerslie in crazy last 600 time fresh up, like this preparation before he went to Australia. And you raise your eyebrow and you go, is that for real? Yeah. But he's got that brilliance. So for him, a slowly run race is a positive because he'll be too quick for them. He's got that turn of foot that a lot of those don't. But if they want to beat him, then something needs to turn it into a real staying test. That to me is the biggest chance of that horse getting beaten. And Phelan's one of the best in the game, so he's going to be a weight to that. He's going to position the horse brilliantly. I think the horse himself is going to be too good.
Do you feel as though, while we're speaking about jumps jockeys, that we've really the last 3 or 4 years started to get a real depth to our jumps jockeys?
I think the jumps jockeys that we've got at the top are really at the top of their game as well. Sean Fannon's just so reliable. Isaac Lupton's come back into great form. Aaron Kuru is just in some sort of zone at the moment. We're seeing what he's doing, and then you've got the Sean Phelans and others.
Will Gordon, very. I
yeah.
mean, they're a good bunch anyway. And there's always been a lot of talent in the jumps jockey ranks, but there's something about them. There's a bit of freshness about them as well, and you sense that enthusiasm when they put themselves forward to be interviewed on trackside, and they're very articulate. They give you very good information. Emily Farr, Sean Phelan. I know Aaron Kuru is quite a shy type, but when you talk to him and you ask him the right questions, he gives you gold.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a very big positive for the jumping game because we want access. We get access to our All Blacks, we get access to our Black Caps, we get access to our Silver Ferns, and are very forward, they're happy to come forward and give access.
I think it's a good analogy as well because I think they're more professional now. These guys are really, they know it, and they don't probably get enough of an opportunity. It's hard to make a living as a jumps jockey, obviously, but the guys that we've got are a really professional outfit. Just before we move on, Kano's running the Awapuni Hero. Just want to sort of make sort of reference to it because it was a pretty good effort. Went out as a sort of favourite in that race and has only gone down a length and a quarter and behind If I Tell. I don't think it's one we just want to be dismissing in this race.
Agreed.
All Right Guru, first jump over the hurdle. He won a hurdle trial, All Right Guru, Jason. Start 56.
All Right Guru, if you are keen on him, then back him to run third or fourth or fifth. You
It's
can't back him to run
hard
fourth or fifth.
for a jumps debutant in a prestige race like this.
I just wanted to get a piece together just for the highlights package next week if he did happen to run in the top 3. So
Monarch Chimes wins the race.
Monarch Chimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And we'd love to see the bookies sort of maybe just sort of freshen this one a little bit as well.
What,
We
like
see the horse
$6?
420 into 380. Well, we'll see what we can get out of them, eh?
Be nice, wouldn't it? Shall we turn over to the feature on the flat over 2,100 metres? This is with Trisha Lee looking to go back to back to back, $4.40. This the Taradale Club 2100, the ever so consistent Zentangle 750, Woodsman Anna Jones 450, and Do I Know You 550, and Hand It to Jonesy for Wiremu Pin, claiming the 4 kilos there down to $4.40. And one of you gents was keen on Hand It to Jonesy, I think.
That was me.
That was you.
Yep, that
Jason
was me.
Tarn.
Yep, he looks quite a progressive sort of horse. I think he was fresh and just a fraction, dropped back to 1,600 metres and ran a good race behind Aiden's Bet of last weekend, LAR. So I do like the fact that he's stepping back up in ground. I think he showed 2 and 3 starts ago how promising.
Well, he beat Zanyeta 2 starts back, who came out and then won at Tarapa.
Absolutely bolted up.
Yeah.
I know, the Tarapa track is a little bit hit and miss with what handles it and what doesn't, but exactly, very strong form lines throughout. Hand It to Jonesy, and even though on the face of things wasn't well placed, with the 4 kilogram claim of Wiremu Billy Pin, is better placed.
How do you see him settling in the run here? He's a horse that has been known to get forward, and with the 8 kilo pull on some of the favoured runners, have you got him handy?
Yeah, I have. I've got him going forward and probably leading here. I think they'll take advantage of having the apprentice claim. Love to keep him. I expect them to be pretty positive. This horse stuck really well at Tauranga last time out. Trisha Lee's got a tricky barrier draw. What do they do there? Got them pressing forward, so it'll be just interesting to see where Trisha Lee lands. Just illustrated that it's got a job to do. So it's posted 3 wide. I can't see it being posted 3 wide of much of the run. You'll see Woodsman get back. I think it's a tough draw for Woodsman, Barrier 1, because he's a horse who doesn't really have the great early speed but likes to be rolling into the race. So Barrier 1 could be just a little bit of a trick if it gets pocketed.
Yeah, just that space. Needs to find a gap to punch through Anna Jones. If it opens up, well, then he'll be off and he'll be going forward for sure. Dead heat this one between Trisha Lee and Zentangle. And Trisha Lee's just been in genuine form. I sort of looked through and I thought, oh, on a better track do you want to be on her? And it was only 5 starts ago on a slow 7 at Hastings when she led up and she still ran second. Okay, in a 75, a lesser grade of race, but she's been running superbly for Madden Singh. He's really built up a special association, a hat-trick of wins, including that dead heat. Going for a 4-timer in a row, it's very rare.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just wanted to point to Do I Know You, horse who was winning really well at Wanganui a couple of starts back. Just got too far back at Tauranga last time out. You know, normally it's a horse who races on speed. It was sort of the last horse, I think, going past the line for the first time. Jonathan Parks takes over from Lisa Allpress, and I think that's more jockey agent error on my part that didn't know it was going to be backing up and booked against it, so apologies to Lisa there. But I do think Do I Know You's got a really strong hand in the race, although that's not taking anything away from Mangaroa Flojo, who the reports are saying is pretty well going into this.
Oh, that's interesting about Mangaroa Flojo, because she's a very hard horse to catch, but if you get any whisper that she's working better, then her best form is more than good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
But just about Do I Know You, blinkers go back on Do I Know You after they were removed for the Kiwi Fruit Cup. So an interesting gear addition, having had those removed and start prior winning with them on.
And especially being slow away without them last time, or certainly not being into the race as much, as keen as what he normally is. So yeah, I think it's a positive gear change for sure.
So hand it to Jonesy.
Hand it to Jonesy is my bet in the race, yes.
Aidan?
Do I Know You for me.
Okay, hand it to Jonesy and Do I Know You. That's race number 5, the Taradale Club, 2100 metres, coming through from Hastings on Saturday. And that race is set down to start at 20 minutes after 1 and will be the last leg of the early quaddies. Stand by, we head to Ruakaka next.
Giddy up, giddy up. You gotta ride that funky pony. Giddy up, giddy up. You gotta wink like crazy horse. Man's got to do what a man. And where down we go.
And here's Tabby's back down the outside. A good old go here, Birdie Blitz. Tabby's back, lunged, got it. Local trainer Chris Gibbs gets one in the second here with Tabby's back. Greencast in front though, and Sam Weatherly will get another winner. Trained by Chris Gibbs, that's win number 2 on the program for him.
Whoa, you let your feet.
Vinevale and Dougie. Vinevale holding sway. Vinevale 3 for the day for trainer and jock. Not Usual Heart is storming home right down the outside. Great go here. Not Usual Heart has come from last. Huge run. Another one for Chris Gibbs. That is 4 for the day. Curialason straight to the lead. Poker Face is trying to dive through. Curialason, Poker Face trying to get it. Curialason in front though. Curialason won it. Another one for Chris Gibbs.
Curialason second up with blinkers on, could win and make it 5 wins for the day for Chris Gibbs.
And where down we go, where down.
Well, he is doing a fantastic job, Chris Gibbs, and good to see the Singapore stable ticking along also, and a host of chances tomorrow from Ruakaka. We spoke about track conditions earlier on. Aidan, it's our best winter track in the country, and we expect it to play fair again.
Yeah, and the thing is, we've seen a couple of meetings up there now through May and June, and we are getting a decent line on so how it goes. The last meeting played really fair, the track. One thing that I noticed probably most of all is in the small fields, the leaders were more dominant, and the bigger fields more pressure on, and we did see those horses coming from the back. And that's probably like we've got the last couple of races said that. I'd expect those to be sort of swoopers type races, but early on, maybe we might just see those closer to the speed dominating.
Yeah, okay. And Jason Tan will be able to fill us in with his form on the Ruakaka in a moment. Let's take a look at the market for the first race we're looking at. It is race number 7 on the card, the North Pine Waipu Cup, $3.50. Ricky Tiki Tavi and Cameron Lamis, Vinevale $5.50, Firejet $5.50. Can Ricky Tiki Tavi turn the tables? And most importantly, Aidan, what did you make of Ricky Tiki Tavi's effort last start?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. There's a 3 kilogram swing towards Ricky Tiki Tavi this time round, and the horse that beat them both home, you know, high flyers, high class. Firejet's been going well, but this horse hasn't won for a long time. So, you know, you've got to give it credit for pushing High Flyer so close last time out, but I'd be expecting that Riki Tiki Tavi's able to turn the table.
Southern Icon drawn 1 here over the 1400 metre trip. How do you see the race unfolding for him?
Yeah, definitely Southern Icon's going to press forward from that gate, but I've got a lot of speed in this race. He's Cavalier's a horse who does like to get on speed. Charlie Farley as well from the outside draw. Creative Genius, I think they'll take advantage of barrier 2. Can probably trail. Silver Sassanov will go forward. Spider will go forward. There's a lot of speed in the race. Even Vinevale, who went forward last time, I've got it going back. Rockabye Baby, likely to get back, but I don't think it's going to be the worst place to be getting back because there seems to be a lot of pressure. Jason Tan, is that the way you saw it?
Yeah, very much so, in terms of the volume of horses that are going to be going forward in that particular race. He's a funny horse, Southern Icon, because as a 2-year-old, he was successful at Ruakaka and then backed that up with a second. But since then, his record right-handed and his record there has been rather ordinary. And last time he was there, he was very poor. He actually missed away and sort of never really got into it after being hunted up. So, yeah, he'll be one of the pressure aspects of the race for sure.
Let's go back to a Ruakaka run, which should give us a pretty decent reference for this, Jason.
So this over 1,200 metres, Rich Billy Marsh led up. Riki Tiki Tavi did a lot of work chasing and was left a sitting shot to others that could come from behind. Obviously, High Flyer was sensational late. Fire Jet, though, was good and just rolled over the top of Riki Tiki Tavi. I think different circumstances here will suit Riki Tiki Tavi with more horses that will sit in the lead spot. I think she's better with just a little bit of a quieter run and a sit in behind. She can be quite effective weaving a path through a field and can be quite devastating actually, how she hits the line. So she's the horse that I'm taking out of that. There is a weight swing in her favour with Firejet. You say, well, Firejet's just gone straight past her. There is a weight swing, and I think the circumstances of the race will suit Riki Tiki Tavi.
Yeah, 3 kilograms on what wasn't a big margin. And the other thing, Riki Tiki Tavi had been 2 months without a run leading into that. She will be a whole lot sharper coming into this one. We go back to Vinevale's win, goes up and hits the front at this point. We can see Rockabye Baby in the gold colours coming out in behind. Both of these pretty good runs, and Charlie Farley, a horse who's had 15 starts, either first or second up, and has never won in that state. I think we're just going to have to wait for that horse, but not a bad effort from Vinevale. There was a margin back to Rockabye Baby, but if anything, I thought Rockabye Baby is going to be an improver into this.
Certainly, I think they're both improvers. But you spoke about the circumstances of how some of the races were run 2 weeks ago. That was a race with a small field that they didn't run very hard, so you know, Vinevale was in the perfect spot in the race. Rockabye Baby got back. I think they'll both probably settle back and get their chance to run on, but it'll be quite a different race over 1,400. You get the feeling that maybe Vinevale could be looking for more ground now and that the 1,400 metres more suitable for Rockabye Baby, but yeah, there isn't a heck of a lot between the pair.
Rockabye Baby, look at the numbers, you know, course stats, 6 starts, 4 wins, 2 minor placings, distance stats, 5 starts for 3 wins and 2 minor placings. Comes in 1.5 kilograms better than Vinevale this time out. I just thought there was a sense of timing about this horse and that might be a win factor in the race, but I'm leaning more towards Riki Tiki Tavi.
So is it a bet for you?
Yeah, it is. Riki Tiki Tavi, and I thought looked to be one of the best on the program, actually. I really like Riki Tiki Tavi here, although in saying that, it's a terrific race.
Yeah, I will be making Riki Tiki Tavi my bet of the weekend. I think she maps beautifully how the race will shape around her, and she's got enough of a turn of foot. I think she'll be right there. I expect her to sit a pair forward of her 2 stablemates and therefore have first run on them. And it'll be big performances from them to be able to run past her, but she's my best for the weekend, Riki Tiki Tavi.
Happy days, sounds good to me. We look forward to that at the Ruakaka. Let's turn back time to race number 5, the White Cliffs Timber 1200. Take a look at the market for this. 280 Not Usual Heart, 230 Merlini, a little shorter, and they're both on even weights here with Jordan Nason's 2 kilo claim. Breeza Rex, Teta Kominagi claims a couple there, 450, and out to longer odds around Sign On than the other 2, Magical Beauty and Shearer Dream. 1200. Is it going to be a tactical battle in terms of the speed here, Aidan?
Undoubtedly, and that's where Merlini might just have the edge. Will go forward. You'd expect Resurrect to press forward as well. Signon or Signon, I'm not too sure how you say it actually, probably presses forward, get somewhere near the trail. And Not Usual Heart, who dropped out last time out. Now that was a tactical move from Cameron Lammas from the outside draw. He actually tucked back. So this horse does have a little bit of speed to use. I think it can be somewhere near them. Shearer Dream and Magical Beauty probably the that
I
couple.
think the key for Not Usual Heart is being able to get into that rhythm where she's able to breathe happily. And when she can, we've seen how brilliant she has been on occasions. But if you hustle and bustle early and get her out of a rhythm, then she's not quite as effective. And in fact, we've seen her drop out in the past, but we've also seen this turn of foot, which was revealed as being one of the runs of the day.
Oh, special performance. She's come home that last 600 metres in 34.08, which I think was it was a second faster than anything else in the race. And just to give you an illustration of how this race shaped, the horses that finished second, third, fourth and fifth were the first four in running. She's come from 12th to run over the top of them in a second faster. Now, she's run that last 600 metres basically 6 lengths faster than the others. So it's a very good performance by a very talented filly. But she takes on Merlini here, who might just have the race shape favouring her.
I think in this particular race, you look at a horse like Merlini and you see a turn of foot like that Not Usual Heart's delivered, and you think, well, what's going to be the best way for Merlini to beat Not Usual Heart? And I think the way Jordan Nason rode Merlini here at Te Rapa in the English Sales Cambridge Breeders' Stakes is the way that he's going to have to ride him on Saturday against her, not go too slowly, roll along at a decent enough speed. Because if it turns into a sprint home, I think she'll have him. If she's within 2 lengths and they haven't gone hard at the top of the straight, I think she'll run past him. But if he's able to run at least a genuine tempo and really click it up, get her out of a rhythm, when he's rolling along, he can run enough time, I think, to be very hard to beat.
Yep, he's come into this on the back of a close second with Aim Smart at the trials. It was a head-bobbing finish at the trials, so he's obviously in pretty good order. And you go back into that Cambridge Breeders' Stakes, look at the horses behind him, Paulonia, Prom Queen, Caristo. Now, there's some names there that just says, that he's beaten some pretty good horses. He's showing good ability. And a tactical one, I was super impressed by Not Usual Heart last time. I looked at that run, did the video and thought, I'm going to be on her no matter what next time out. Well, as it happens, I'm not.
Resurrect. How did you? And so that, how did you slot Resurrect coming off a spell and pulled up and cardiac arrhythmia last start? Prior form was pretty good.
It was really good. Second to Ferrando, second to Deals Hills earlier in that preparation. So obviously a pretty handy horse. Has run top 3 and 9 with 16 starts so far. Yet to do it fresh, and I just thought the other two just had a little bit of something on them, sort of race fit. I'll be expecting more of Resurrect further into the preparation. How did you see him?
Yeah, it was really hard to get a measure on him because he rates really well. He rates more than competitive at his very best. It's not easy to know exactly where he is, but as you say, his record, his second up record is very good. Haven't seen him at the trials, so you suggest maybe he'll need the run. But at his best, he's right there. But yeah, you can forgive him. He had an excuse, having suffered from cardiac arrhythmia last time. But yeah, Merlini for me too.
Okay, so Merlini, both of you?
Yeah, it is.
Take the Quinella as well. Let's go to race number 9 it is. North Pine Timber and Beams and Posts, rating 75. You don't want to be trying to spit that out mid-race, especially around there. 450.
You've called it Ruakaka, haven't you?
Have called it Ruakaka. It'd be the most difficult track to call that, I think. $4.50 for Major Tom, $5 Jake the Muss, $5.50 IC Red. We'll leave George in charge there tomorrow. Major Tom is in a purple patch, Aidan.
Yeah, it was a terrific win last time out, just one of those sweeping wins. It was on pattern, it was a race where those who were back in the race, and once again, he gets into this type of race again, although with barrier 5 this time round rather than 11, 10 and that he's had in his last 3, he's going to be able to take up a more prominent position. I don't expect him to sort of be in the first 4 or 5, but I've got him sort of somewhere near sort of 1, 3 back, the 3 back, 1 out. So I don't think he's going to be that far away, and I don't think there's a huge amount of speed in here either. There's certainly no clear leader, no horse that stands out. I didn't map it mainly because there's obviously Ballot still in there. I just don't know how that's going to shape as it stands. But I think Major Tom's definitely a factor in the race.
Well, you look at his record earlier on in the year around Pukekohe and Ellerslie, and he drew as he has drawn tomorrow, sort of around barriers 4 and 5, and he was positioned the first 4 or 5 in running. I thought this was a big run. He sustained a run from a long way out. We've seen him perform over 2,100 metres, so he should relish that step up in ground. You'll see running into 3rd position now in the Logan colours, but with the black cap, Icy Red, who often does run on like that, didn't have sort of the luck go her way. When Rocket Lady and Major Tom were making their runs, Icy Red was caught up on the inside and wasn't able to build into the race like those other two did. That was rather costly. Her last 200 metres was decent enough though.
Yeah, Rocket Lady was an interesting run because she was caught 3 wide, sort of, on speed, was 7th in running in a race where it was definitely favouring those off speed. Major Tom's gone past her at the top of the straight, and then she's rallied really strongly. There wasn't much between them. I am still favouring Major Tom, but I've got a lot of respect around Rocket Lady. I thought her run was very good.
Here's Kyria Lyson winning over 1,600 metres before we take a look at Jake the Muss. But Cameron Lammis taking the ride aboard this one. Is that a nice enough lead for us in the Hogan colours, Jason?
I think it's a decent lead. I spoke to Chris Gibbs and look, it's a difficult one when you've got so many runners in the race, but he actually erred towards Kyria Lyson as being his best chance in this race. And we haven't talked about Jake the Muss yet, who was very unlucky. So he's got bow fighters. He's got 5 in the race, and he sort of leaned towards her.
Wow.
This is Jake the Muss, and was disappointed for a run when the stablemate and Sam Weatherly actually shut him out in green car. Sam said, "No, I want this race for me, thanks." And he did.
It was costly.
Or it cost him the race, Jake the Muss. He was coming into it, and you'd say by the way that he finished off that he probably would have beaten Green Car. So Sam notched up the win for him, and Jake the Muss, you have to live to fight another day, which will be tomorrow if you want to back it.
Jake the Muss ran the quickest last 600 of the race, but does draw barrier 16, which I thought was probably the trickier. Drops back 2 grades from open company to rating 75. But interestingly, and we're getting that guide now from the stable too, that Cameron Lammis, who rode both Jake the Muss and I guess he did win on Kyria Lyson last time, he stays with Kyria Lyson here. Another point, while we're on Kyria Lyson, Rocket Lady beat Kyria Lyson pointlessly when they met 2 starts back. I know it was a race that did favour those on speed, and Kyria Lyson got no chance from being last in running, but it's interesting that, obviously Kyria Lyson's form has improved, but Rocket Lady's going okay too. So the only other horse I thought would give those horses some sort of chance is Lord Sibford, who got back in a race that was one off the front. It was just basically a sprint last time out. Go back 2 starts and behind Mihal. It was a really good run. Beat home horses like Firejet, who's run second to High Flyer, and Sleeping Beauty, who's come out and won as well. So I wouldn't be riding Lord Sibford off.
He's had an interesting preparation, Lord Sibford, in terms of the distances he's run over. I think a couple at 1,200, and here he is stepping up to 2,100. Back in grade with 4 kilos off. There's a few things in line for him, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so too. And you like that. Some of those horses that are coming back in grade, obviously you come back in grade, you expect to get a weight put. Put the claimer on, and it does sort of, repel that. I'm going to stick with Major Tom here, but it's a really good race. It's another of those races we're looking to get the form done for the next meeting ahead as well.
Yeah, it's not an easy race. Blinkers on the Lord Sibford. Last time it was down to this grade, it was successful, but it is a big up and through. I'm with you, Major Tom. The last time him and Jake the Muss met was at Ellerslie, and Major Tom was mightily impressive in finishing second to Richie McHorse that day. They fought it out, and in 6th position was Jake the Muss. So there are a lot of chances in the last race, but I'm going to go with Major Tom.
I'll just give you another stat as well, just talking about horses dropping back in grade. Smedley hasn't raced in rating 85, lower than rating 85 company since May 2015. It's almost 3 years. So it's the first time back into 75 company since then.
Is that the Brendan Popwell love horse, Smedley?
It sure is. I think it's the end of June. He's running a little bit too soon, but he's not going to get to go to Ellerslie for that race this year.
Well, we'll just stand by for Brendan Popwell, because I tell you what, when Pops lobs on, he normally wins.
Yeah, he does.
I think it made his year last year, as you say, this time last year. 2 races at Ellerslie, and on heavy 11s, Brendan said, this is the time, and it's gone bang, and then it's gone bang again. So I think he's just keeping his powder dry for an equivalent
No
sort
Ellerslie,
of
though. That might just sort of throw a spinner on the
He
works.
did win at Ruakaka later on in the winter, but it was a slow track. So interesting note, though, that little stat there, Aidan.
Jump on to TAB Trackside 1 with Brendan Popwell and also Bevan Sweeney, Tony Lee and George Simon with all of the coverage for tomorrow from around 11 o'clock. The first race there, nice and early. Okay, best bets time, and I'm getting hammered in this as well. We're not going to sit here and sob. Mine is 370. So in theory, need to find like a $5 shot to get myself out of the red here. 310 in the green for you though, Aidan. You're going well.
Well, it just shows, like I was able to get one at 380 last week, and that's all you really need to change the tables here. I'm going to go with the Hawke's Bay Hurdles. I'm going to go to Monarch Chimes here, and maybe if we can, I'll take whatever. If the bookmakers, we did sort of get a bit of an idea that they're going to put something out on Monarch Chimes.
Yep.
So I'm going to take whatever the bookmakers put out on Monarch Chimes as my best bet.
Okay, that's fair. We'll let you do that. Jason, best bets for you?
I'm with you. Riki Tiki Tavi at Ruakaka. I think she's really well placed. The way the race shapes, I think, will suit her. And I think the stablemates will provide her biggest opposition, and I'm hoping that she gets first run in them and run out a strong 1400. Riki Tiki Tavi, race 7.
I'm going to go Matthew Cameron, Chris Gibbs in race number 3. It is a maiden by the name of Los Angeles, second up, daughter of Rock and Pop, so look out for that. And it'll be interesting to see what sort of price that the bookmakers put up for that. Stay with us, we wrap everything up next. We'll have all of our bank totals and Stu Lang back on board too, so stay tuned.
Everybody needs a friend. So come on. So reach out.
She knows will take the inside run from Grand Condor, then timing removal. Further back to Fanning and Bandipur, 4 off them at the 300. Noble Joey in front. She knows though, moves up on the inside, and there's very consistent filly. She knows race to the front now and kicked away from Noble Joey. Further back to removal and Bandipur, but it's She Knows well clear for the New Zealand apprentice Sam Weatherby.
Just a ripper. Welcome to Sydney, Sam Weatherly as well. The Kiwi apprentice makes his presence felt in the last race of the day.
Well, he certainly hit the ground running. Sam Weatherly over there with his victory aboard She Knows, and no doubt there'll be many more to come where that came from. Let's head to our friends at Formline though and see what they have to say about the weekend's racing over in Sydney.
Hello New Zealand, we are racing at Rose Hill on Saturday now. A fair bit of rain fell on Thursday afternoon, so the boys have done the form on a heavy track. Paul Joyce, what's your best?
My best bet is Alassio for Gai Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. Undefeated, 3 from 3, shooting from 4 from 4. And look, I just think they found the perfect race for it, a benchmark 80 on pace. So Alassio the best bet, and Royal Stamp my value. Looking for the 1800, gets it, better draw this time, good value each way.
So race 4, number 5, Alassio, your best. Brad?
Yeah, the Winter Cup for me, Sayed. I know he's been 460 to 290 already, but I think this sets up really well for him over the 2400 metres. And I'm happy to spec race 8, number 18, Lightning Nick here, just at the $26. Mum was a swimmer, I'm hoping she will too.
OK, Winter Cup and Civic Stakes, the features at Rose Hill on Saturday.
Speaking of Winter Cup, our Winter Cup markets are out on tab.co.nz at Riccarton Park to be held on the first Saturday of August. Stephen Hunt is going to join us very shortly, and we're going to talk to him about the monetary side of things over the next couple of days. And look, in terms of the Australian racing at this time of year, Jason, it's important to keep an eye on the New Zealanders. And what have we got coming up this weekend?
Well, Tony Pike's had huge success in Queensland, and he lines up the Bostonian. In the Sunshine Coast Guineas, he's searching for a hat-trick of wins in Australia with him. The Ice Knight is in that race as well, and Mega Blast is lining up in the race following the Caloundra Cup at listed level. So plenty of New Zealand trained interest, and there are a number of other horses that have changed trainers from New Zealand trainers to Australian trainers that you'll see on the card there as you do across the states of Australia.
OK, no racing.com preview, but tab.co.nz you'll find all of the Victorian news. Stephen Hunt joins us out of the racing desk at Petone. Stephen, good morning. How are things down there in Wellington?
Good morning, Matty. A little bit clearer than what we had earlier in the week. But look, there's 4 or 5 races I should touch on, Matty, that we've had open for the last 24, 48 hours that have caused some early interest. In the hurdles, one of the features at Hastings, race 3. We posted Kip Keno and Monarch Shimes 420 each of 2, but the money has come for Monarch Shimes. Maybe the punters are slightly put off around Kip Keno, 65 last year winner, now going up to 69 kilograms. So Monarch Shimes all the rage for the hurdle in race 3 at Hastings. In the chase, Max, we've posted a $3.40 favourite, and currently the best back runner holds most dollars invested as it stands right now. Look, there's an interesting runner here, and I normally wouldn't quote it to you boys, but the fact that Kevin Myers trains it, Sean Fannin does the riding, is a horse of number 3, I've Got This. It was a beaten favourite at Te Araha last Sunday. Look, it opened at $37. It's crunched into $26. As if the race jumped right now, Matt, it'd be one of our biggest liabilities. I've Got This. So, yeah, it's a bit of a watch and see just where that price ends up for the Kevin Myers runner, and I've Got This. In the Open 2-1 race 7 at the back end of the program at Hastings, look, Trisha Lee's won 3 on the bounce, but I think she's a little bit vulnerable going into the race on Saturday afternoon. A little bit of specking around Jason Tarn's individual, which he liked in this particular race. Hand It to Jonesy. Opened at $4.80. It's now sharing that top line with Trisha Lee at $4.40. So a bit of a watch round Hand It to Jonesy,
Stephen,
now current favourite.
Stephen, just a question, just a quick side question. It seems like you're operating an Instagram filter on the lighting there and at the sports desk. Gingham is one of my favourite filters. But that aside, at Ruakaka, what have you got happening there?
Well, I see your best bet is Riki Tiki Tavi, Jason. Look, I can point towards that. You can punt this individual a little bit of confidence. I know the stable have 2 or 3 runners in this particular race, but currently it stands as the best back runner at $3.50. It doesn't have to contest with the likes of High Flyer on Saturday afternoon. Vinevale, the stablemate, has had a lot of supports, what we call smart money here in the Petone office. $6.50 on opening, now trading at $5.50 for Vinevale, the 5-year-old mare by Flying Spur. So a lot of punters suggesting she can make the step up to open class. And the fact that there's no coin for Firejet and also Southern Icon is a little bit concerning for those supporters. So, yeah, Riki Tiki Tavi, one of the best backed in the card at early stages at Ruakaka.
Stephen, last week we had a good week in terms of the result with our special, not so good for you, but you've kindly come back again this week to offer us a special on tab.co.nz. Option 1, Selection 1, what have you got for us?
Well, I think this will be very popular, Matty. I can compare it to maybe High Flyer and popularity status, possibly reaching the 50k liability. Monarch Shimes, $2.80 we're offering, and you get a refund if this individual does not win but runs second or third. So option 1, Selection 1. The thing I think this will really entice punters is the fact that it's at $3.80 in the final field market. I believe it will close closer to $3 and $4 in the final field market come Saturday afternoon. So I think that $2.80 is pretty good value. The fact that you're going to get a refund on your second and third. So look, this option will be open by 5 p.m. unless we reach that liability, but I think you'd want to get in fairly early.
All right, that's a nice one, $2.80. Stephen, you enjoy your weekend.
Cheers, Matty. Will do. Thank you.
All right, there's Stephen Hunt. Jason, you're...
Always good stuff from
$2.80.
Stephen.
Yeah, he's been good. Will we get Thad back or...
And
what was that option number again?
Option 1, Selection 1.
I'm just going to get it now.
It's always Option 1, Selection 1 here on the First Call, our special.
And for those people that actually are on Instagram, we still don't have an Instagram account. Fair Income, that is a filter. Gingham is a filter, and that's what it looked like. Was on the sports desk today.
One of those accounts, but I don't know how to do the filters and things. That's just too much.
There was no knock on you, Stephen, but it's honestly, it's like filter.
Just it takes away all of your imperfections.
Sometimes it magnifies them. Doesn't it?
Makeup does that for most of us. Let's look at our bank bets for the weekend. And Aidan?
Oh, sorry, I'm putting my money on
Option 1, Selection 1.
Yeah, option.
It's going to be there till 5 o'clock.
I just don't want to miss out. But the $50,000 liability might be up already.
You've got a bit happening here. You've got a lot happening here.
Yeah, I do. I've got a bit to spend, so I'm going to spend some. Liking Birdie Blitz in the maiden there, 10/30 on that horse.
Big run last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. 20 win on Merlini, who I do like in the sprint, the race there, race 7, 10/20 on Riki Tiki Tavi. I know Jason's pretty keen on that. Monarch Chimes, 20/30, but I'm also going to have 30 a win on the option 1 on that special as well as taking it myself. 5 each way on Centre Attention. I've got to get my money back on Scotty McNabb and the amateur riders. Petit Anjou dropping back from the Weight for Age listed race back to rating 75. Company I thought appealed, and 2:30 was terrific against the pattern at Ruakaka last time out. Field of Fires raced against some pretty handy horses in the last couple. I'm going to put 10 each way on both of those in the last, and I think you might be going head-to-head with me in that race, are you, Jason?
Yes, I will be. We'll reveal that very shortly, but Lisa Latter's got a horse that I think might be at a decent price to spec in Lincoln Hills, race number 10 at Hastings. a touch underrated. Has run some really good races, even though at times has also had a couple of misses. I think you can give the Te Rapa one anyway. The Helix in
It's a
race
bit
3
like you.
along with Los
A couple
Angeles.
of misses. Is
Spelling important
You could
there.
couple
I'm
misses.
going to go with MISS. 4, race 4, 10 over 15 on marbles. She has the blinkers on and she is crying out for a little bit of ground and some luck more so. I think they might try and ride her a bit more positively with the blinkers and you'll see a good result, I think. Race 7, Riki Tiki Tavi, the bet of the weekend for me. Major Tom, race number 9. Then you've got Monarch Chimes, who I think's the best bet at Hastings there, Monarch Chimes.
I should put more on with TSC special then, should I?
Oh, if you want.
Jeez.
There's a lot of zeros there that I'm
Good
seeing
thing
on my computer screen that you're working off right
good
now.
thing is I
Race
just-
number
I
5,
just got
handed
my
to
beat on.
Jonesy, and then Lincoln Hills. He's a real smoky. I was hoping that you might get sort of $10, $12, but I'm not sure what bookies will open him at. Riki Tiki Tavi and Major Tom have placed that multi-win in place, and at Hastings, Monarch Chimes hand it to Jonesy, win in place. 2, 4, 5 spent.
Aidan, I forgot how much he doesn't like it when we interrupt him when he's reading
I
out his
know,
bets.
sorry. Reminder, put that on the memo for next week.
Don't interrupt
It's
Jason
breaking the train
in
of
reading
thought.
bets. Can't keep
I
up.
have enough issues concentrating on one thing at a time. If you sidetrack me, we could go anywhere.
Yeah, it's a laugh.
More
Okay.
graphics.
I've only got about $120 left, so let's see what we can do.
So you're spending 300?
You have quite a tab with
130.
IRT, don't you?
Oh, they love me. $50 win multi at Ruakaka, Los Angeles into Riki Tiki Tavi. $50 win multi at Hastings, Monarch Chimes into Max. I'm going to go 10 to win on Los Angeles, even though it's my best bet of the weekend. I've got it in the multi as well, just in case Riki Tiki Tavi doesn't get up. And Orange Shore, interesting runner, first up for Chris Gibson. Lord Beaver, for those looking for a Friday afternoon bet at Wingatui. I think he'll win race 3 with the blinkers on. Chris Johnson up.
Good racing down there today too.
$130.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. So there we go.
I like your
$130.
bets actually. Some of those multis they do look really
Just
positive.
going back to basics.
Nice.
Back to basics. Stu Lang, here we go. G'day Stu, 25 to win on marbles. Garland and Spider loves Ruakaka. $20 Quinella with Major Tom and Jake DeMass. Interesting. Major Tom and Jake DeMass, he's leading out Kerry Elyson in that. Box trifecta race number 3, $60 there. He gets a percentage of 1, 3, 5, 8, 9 and 10. And the White Queen, race 8 at Hastings.
Yeah, that's one where we just want to turn the
Runner
page
number
to quite
12.
quickly.
I'm just going to
It's been a money much of the
open
White
the race
Queen.
book. The White Queen. Yeah, Stephen Marsh, Jonathan Parks. First up by Kate Blanco.
Did trial
Peter
well.
Vella.
Yeah, trialled really
Trial
nicely
10 out of
coming in
10.
there. So
If she brings her trial form to the races, then she'll be winning. But that's been the challenge because so far she hasn't brought her very good trials form to the races. But she's clearly got ability.
Stu is normally at the right sort of time to pick those horses out. So yeah, might well be ready.
Weekend for you, Jason. Perching, watching the 2 thoroughbred meetings from New Zealand tomorrow. Is that correct?
Very much so, Matthew.
What race are you most looking forward to in all seriousness?
Well, I want Riki Tiki Tavi to go out and win, but I am looking forward to the Hawke's Bay Hurdles because I think Monarch Chimes is just a little bit special over those fences, and I'd like to see a special performance from him. Sean Phelan back aboard Monarch Chimes on race day.
Yeah, well, I spoke to David Brown about this horse during the week, and he's saying should he come out and win impressively, they'll look at going back to Victoria and like $250,000 for the Grand National Hurdles, $350,000 for the Grand National Steeples. Now that's money that even our Group 1 horses in New Zealand aren't running for. So in a lot of cases, so you know it could be a lucrative campaign for him, and he is a special jumper.
Okay, tab.co.nz, all of our bets will be on there and bank total updates from this week. You can follow us through there and get yourself a bit of a lead if you like one of the boys' best bets. 10:30 a.m. on Saturday will be the start time for our live previews from the track. We've got Brendan Popplewell and George Simon at Ruakaka, Bevan Sweeney and Tony Lee taking us through the Hastings side of things there with the jumping card. So 10:30, TAB Trackside 1, you will find all of that. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. Aidan, there's a lot on, isn't there? It's always good. I love my Friday mornings previewing the weekend and love the weekends racing.
Love Sunday mornings better.
Sleeping time.
There we go. Monday mornings are the worst. That's been IRT with that's been the first call with IRT, not the other way around. I hope you can join us next week. tab.co.nz. I'll see you there.
Nothing can break you.